Okay, welcome. I call to order the meeting for Upper Moreland Township, the regular meeting on September 9th. Please join me in a moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next, we're proud to have a presentation of a life-saving proclamation presented to the following individuals: Ryan Cribb, Sadie Madison Mendel, Natalie Werner, Catherine Mary Vogt, and James O'Connor. The proclamation is as follows. Whereas on June 15, 2024, at 1:37 p.m., members from Upper Moreland Fire and Police Departments, along with Second Alarmers Rescue Squad, were dispatched to Upper Moreland Swim Club located at 3505 Moore Road for a person who had suffered cardiac arrest. Whereas Upper Moreland Police Department arrived within 2 minutes to locate the victim, a 67-year-old male, Mitchell Schuster, in cardiac arrest. The victim was receiving chest compressions from lifeguard Catherine Mary Vogt and rescue breathing from lifeguard Sadie Madison Mendel. Upon arrival of Second Alarmers, it was determined that the victim had pulses and began breathing on his own. Whereas the incident included a total team effort by various staff and other members of the Upper Moreland Swim Club, Clerk James O'Connor immediately dialed 911 and remained on the phone with 911 to provide valuable information and location to the first responders. Clerk Ryan Cribb immediately ran to the victim and summoned help and assisted the lifeguards with care. Member Natalie Werner also ran to the scene and assisted with sealing the mask for rescue breathing and initial chest compressions. Whereas through the total team effort, the victim regained pulses and breathing. The victim was subsequently loaded into the ambulance and transported to Jefferson Abington Hospital, where he was further treated and released from the hospital. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, Upper Moreland Swim Club staff and members saved the life of a 67-year-old victim, Mitchell Schuster. This was an incredible accomplishment for these community members who came together and administered CPR to save a life. This proclamation is presented by the Upper Moreland Township of Commissioners on the 9th day of September, 2024. Can I please ask all those recognized to come forward? Ryan Cribb. A little bit fast, sorry. Catherine Mary Vogt. Thank you. James O'Connor. Thank you. And Sadie Madison Mendel. And Natalie Werner. Okay, thank you all. Very courageous. Yeah, we're going to do pictures.
Congratulations, everyone. Make sure you tell your teachers Want to do individual with family? Or? Why don't we do one at a time, individual with family? Okay. Maybe I misread it. Sure. I'm sorry, Charles.
Oh, what was on the top?
Ryan? No, that's
Oh, right.
All right, thank you.
Again, congratulations. That's an awesome event in our township. Very courageous, and thank you for coming tonight. Okay, I wanted to, wait for a minute. Okay, I'd like to announce that we met in executive session before the meeting tonight for personnel and legal matters. Next, Pat, would you mind taking roll call, please?
Thank you, Commissioner. Ward 1?
Present.
Ward 2?
Present.
Ward 3?
Present.
Ward 4?
Present.
Ward 5? Ward 6?
Present.
Ward 7?
Here.
Commissioner, all the commissioners with the exception of Commissioner McFatridge are present, as is the Township Solicitor and Township Manager.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a public hearing. Do we have a motion to open hearing 1970 to receive public comments regarding the adoption of ordinance number 1754?
Commissioner Lockhart, before we entertain that motion, we just need to verify, is the court reporter here?
The court reporter I do not see, and he was scheduled and confirmed today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give me 5.
Hey, Claire.
We delay the meeting.
Continue down the agenda if you'd like. Sort of back to the hearing board.
Sounds good.
Give it a couple minutes.
So if we do that, skip over the community development thing.
Okay, same order, yeah. Next on the agenda is public comments for non-agenda items only. Are there any public comments?
Good evening, Commissioners. Welcome back. Sue Worth, Lamanna, Ward 62. I just want to bring up what I always bring up is that we are going way too fast in Upper Moreland. Today, somebody passed me in the almost 25 to 40 zone on Easton Road while I was delivering food at about 60 miles an hour. They were clearly headed to the turnpike. But that is what happens when you go from 25 to 40 at the top of the hill rather than making that 40 much closer to Fitzwatertown Road. I don't know what we can do to encourage PennDOT to pay attention to us in that regard, but if we're 25 miles an hour from when we enter the township, which I believe we are, until we are up past Queen of Angels and the churches that are there and the houses that still have residents in them. And yet we put that 40 miles an hour at the top of the hill. They go up and they go down, and it's a danger to all of us who are trying to cross. Some places do not have lights. We know that. They don't need lights if people would just slow down. So between the deer that was killed on Edge Hill Road and left the other day, PennDOT has picked it up. We're going too fast everywhere. We're a 35 mile an hour, 25 mile an hour township. But at 40 past our high school and 40 going up to our turnpike. Turnpike fine, high school not. So just going to bring it up every meeting until maybe PennDOT gets a chance to hear us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. I'm sure the Upper Moreland Police Department has discussed it with PennDOT.
I hope so. They've been wonderful in the school zones thus far. So
Yeah.
that's excellent. Great department. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's activity report?
So moved.
Yep, motion to move. Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Are there any commissioner comments? Public? Okay, all in favor of approving it? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's approved. Next is approval of the meeting minutes for August 5th. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any commissioner comments on the meeting minutes? Public? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's approved. Next, we will skip for now the Community Development Committee recommendations and go to Public Health and Safety Committee, Commissioner Whiting.
Yes, thank you. The Public Health and Safety Committee has no report for this meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the Finance Administration Committee, Commissioner.
The Finance and Administration Committee recommends the Board of Commissioners take action on the following. 1A, motion to approve the conditional appointment of Nicholas Crawford as police cadet. Such appointment is conditional upon the successful completion of the medical and psychological examinations. This conditional appointment is also based upon the successful completion of the Temple University Police Academy and passing the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission's certification examination.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any comments? Public? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion's approved.
And 1B, a motion to approve the conditional appointment of Joseph Halper as a probationary police officer. Such appointment is conditioned upon the successful completion of the medical and psychological examinations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any comments from the commissioners? Public? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion's approved.
And second is the list of bills payable. The committee recommends the approval of general fund checks, beginning with check number 141966, ending with check number 142222, for a total of $1,779,400.52. Escrow fund checks, beginning with check number 9808, ending with check number 9826, for a total of $5,596. And liquid fuel fund checks, beginning with check number 3138, ending with check number 3150, for a total of $71,823.13.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? Public? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, bills are approved.
All right, and the final item, motion to approve ordinance number 1755, amending and reenacting Chapter 45, titled Pensions and Retirement, Article 1, Police Pension Plan of the Township Code.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Pat, do you want to just summarize this?
Sure. The police union and the township went to arbitration over their contract in 2020. The arbitrator found the decision at the end of 2021. The board approved the contract and also the pension with it. This is an ordinance to update our current ordinance for the police pension fund to reflect what the arbitrator had awarded.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments? Public?
There's no change.
No,
Re-upping.
we're putting in the ordinance what's already been agreed to per the contract.
That's correct.
Any other commissioner comments? Public? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I don't believe there's any new business.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Next, Parks and Recreation Committee.
The Parks and Recreation Committee has no items for the Board of Commissioners consideration tonight.
Okay, thank you. And that will take us back to the Community Development Committee. Oh, perfect.
Commissioner, there's.
Oh, I'm sorry. It takes us
4A.
to the public hearing. Oh, what?
There's an item under under Community Development Committee, 4A.
Yes.
Do we want to do that while we're waiting for the public hearing or no?
Oh, sure.
Sure. For community development, we have a motion to approve the authorizing the solicitor's office to advertise a public hearing set forth on October 7th, 2024, to receive public comments regarding the conditional use application for 2405 Maryland Avenue.
For a second?
Second.
Any commissioner comments? Public comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we will go back to the public hearing. Is there a motion to open public hearing number 1970 to receive public comments regarding the adoption of ordinance 1754 relating to the township zoning ordinance?
Is it you want a second? Is it a motion?
A motion?
Yeah, I have a motion. Yes.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't know if you do want to say anything.
Yeah, I've got some introductory, procedures to go. So again, this is a public ordinance on zoning ordinance here. This is a comprehensive amendment to the township's code. It's known as ordinance number 1754. As this is a public hearing, we are required statutorily to enter a couple of things as exhibits into the record as proofs that we have followed all of the legal processes related to adoption of a zoning ordinance pursuant to the municipality's planning code. So 3 brief exhibits to put in. I'll label the first one Township 1 or T1. That's the copy of the actual ordinance itself, and that is ordinance number 1754. Township number 2 will be a copy of the review letter of the Montgomery County Planning Commission. That letter is dated August 28th, 2024. And Exhibit T3 will be known as the copy of the advertisement of this hearing published in the Legal Intelligencer, which is the local newspaper of record. And that advertisement of this hearing ran on August 23rd and a second time on August 30th, 2024. That being said, I'll turn it over to Mr. Patel.
Okay, very good. Good evening, Commissioners. Solicitor Baumler, Mr. Stasio. As you're aware, my name is Paul Patel. I'm the Director of Code Enforcement for Upper Moreland Township. And we're here this evening to present the draft zoning ordinance. I'm just going to give a brief overview of how we got to where we are tonight. In July 2020, Upper Moreland Township adopted the 2040 comprehensive plan. As part of that adoption of the comp plan, the township was required to review and update as applicable the existing zoning ordinance. The board tasked the APA and the Montgomery County Planning Commission with the job of reviewing and updating the zoning ordinance as applicable. The APA started reviewing the ordinance in February of 2021. We met every third Thursday of the month as needed, based on edits and proposed revisions from the ordinance provided by the Montgomery County Planning Commission. Quarterly updates were provided to the Community Development Committee, and which feedback was received. We took those comments back. The County Planning Commission would review them with their team, and then we bring them to the APA. The APA would discuss, and they would update the draft as applicable. On May 21st, 2024, the County Planning Commission provided us with the story map of the process for adoption of the new zoning ordinance. That was posted on the township website May 21st, 2024, which the story map basically outlined the process, what I just said. We were updating the reviewing and updating the ordinance based on the 2040 comp plan. Before I turn it over to Claire Warner to provide a brief overview of the zoning changes and the changes to the zoning map, I'd like to thank Claire and the Montgomery County Planning Commission for all the hard work they did. This was 3.5 years in the making. Especially, I'd like to thank the Advisory Planning Agency for all their hard work, including the late Brian Shannon, who met every Thursday, third Thursday of the month for 3.5 years. So here we are this evening. Any questions of me before I turn it over to Claire?
I don't think so. Anybody?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Good evening.
Hi, Claire.
Hello. As Paul mentioned, I'm here to provide a brief update or a brief summary, of the Upper Moreland Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance and Map Update. So I provided a brief presentation here just to be able to illustrate exactly what changes were made. Yes. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Absolutely. Pardon me. Is this better? Okay. All right. So I have this project overview slide, but Paul, I think, summarized it pretty well. I met with the APA every month, and we reviewed each of the districts, each of the sections of the ordinance, and then I would bring it back to the Montgomery County Planning Commission. We would review it, make changes, and then we did this process monthly for more than 3 years. So why did we make all these changes? Because we are implementing the comprehensive plan. So there are a lot of changes in this ordinance, but I wanted to highlight a few of the most important ones that were in the process of implementing the plan. What were the most important changes overall that were made based on the comprehensive plan's recommendations? So first of all, the residential districts, Upper Moreland's a very residential township, so we wanted to make sure that any changes that were made to the ordinance or to ensure that any residential development is compatible and maintains the character of the neighborhoods. A big goal of the comprehensive plan was also to support transit-oriented development and walkable development around the Willow Grove core. So we emphasize that in the ordinance changes that I'll summarize with the map in just a moment. We also wanted to create transitional zones. So working with the current zoning to expand how those transitions could more appropriately address the relationship between the residential areas and the more intense core of Willow Grove, which we know has a lot of activity going in it currently. We also wanted to encourage the adaptive reuse of existing buildings through incentives, and most importantly, to make the code user-friendly. So there were a lot of changes that were made that were basically to make it an easier to read ordinance, and with that, there are some kind of administrative type changes. So we looked at the definitions, we looked at the uses, and we wanted to simplify the zoning map and make sure that the districts that were there were clear, and to clean it up, to make it a more accessible document. Okay. So as part of that process, we reviewed all of the districts. That includes all the residential districts, all of the mixed-use districts that were in place, the town center, the commercial core, and we also created new ones. You can see next to the list of the districts on the left-hand side that there are some notes on which ones were updated, which ones were just, which ones were updated and which ones are new. And in the following slide, I have a zoning map that will illustrate exactly what districts were consolidated and created anew. And then, like I mentioned before, there are also some administrative changes that you can't see reflected in the zoning map, but they're in the zoning ordinance. Okay, so this is the current zoning map and the recommended zoning map. And I don't have a pointer, so I can't point, I apologize. But you can see in the center, I want to point out the main changes that were made. And these are all changes that were presented to the CDC quarterly. So we, for those of you who are on that board, you would have seen these changes reflected in the presentations I gave quarterly. The bottom left-hand side of the screen, the blue district on the recommended zoning map side is a new business center district. So that's in the area that is currently where Maryland Road and the Commerce Drive area is. That is now a mixture of office districts and industrial districts. And we created a new zoning district that is the business center. So that's meant to make that a more unified area. Another major change that was made to the map is for the industrial district, and that is the big purple swath that goes through the middle of the township. There are currently 3 different industrial zoning districts. The zoning changes, the zoning map change would create one industrial district that is shown in purple. The boundaries of the industrial district really do not change except for those areas that are now in that business center area. Other key changes are really focused on the core of Willow Grove and on the commercial corridors of Easton and York and Davisville roads. The town center district is primarily the same, except for that change that was made after the last CDC meeting in, about 6 months ago, where there was a decision to restrict the height in the town center district. So there is now no longer a bonus option in the town center district, so the building heights will be a maximum of 45 feet. Otherwise, the town center had a number of really strong design standards that we kept. No other changes were made. The commercial core district is an existing zoning district, and that's that maroon color that you can see is now bigger. It's a bigger area going up Davisville and up North York Road. That is that transitional district that I mentioned before at the beginning of this presentation. That is meant to kind of lessen the intensity of Willow Grove as you go out into more residential areas. That allows a mixture of different uses, including residential. But it doesn't allow tall buildings. I will emphasize again that no district is going to be higher than 45 feet based on that previous change. Another major change is like I said, the commercial corridors, and that is the corridor mixed-use zoning district. It's that light pink lavender color on the right-hand side. Currently, there are a number of different zoning districts that make up the commercial corridors. It has office, professional office, commercial 1, commercial 2. There are a variety of different districts that we wanted to clean up, and again, to emphasize that cleaning up and simplifying the zoning map to consolidate those districts. That district in the new ordinance would allow a variety of different uses. So all of the offices that are currently permitted in the office district would be permitted, as well as commercial uses. And it would have a maximum of 35 feet building height up the corridors. The residential districts are unchanged, except for a few additional design standards, again, that are meant to accommodate any infill development that might go in, that would make it more compatible with the existing neighborhood. But there are no other changes to the lot sizes, to the densities. They are staying the same. So really the main changes are to those commercial areas, to those office center areas, but the other open space, institutional, and residential areas are staying primarily the same, except for a few additional design standards that are meant to improve any new additions. Okay. And I have the zoning map if we wanted to take a closer look at the recommended zoning map blown up bigger, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that might come up.
Thank you, Claire, and Paul, and our APA. It has been a big process, and thank you for all your work on it. So we'll open up for public comments. Did any commissioners want to say anything first?
I want to ask about, I was bugging you for a long time about that strip along Moreland Road.
Yes.
I just see a little teeny pink area there. I'm not quite sure what that.
Yep.
It's hard to see on that map.
It is hard to see. I apologize. The parcel lines are a little bit bold on this map. The area between Cherry and Moreland was changed to TC. Is that correct? Cherry and the bottom, yeah. That section is now TC2. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, any other questions?
In the absence of Commissioner Lockhart, we'll turn it over for public comments.
Yes, public comments. Thank you. Any other commissioners? Anything they want to say? Okay, are there any public comments?
I appreciate all the work that was done.
Ma'am, before you start, as this is a
Sandra
public
Richmond.
hearing, name, address.
Sandra Richmond, 1505 Sycamore Avenue. I appreciate all the work that was done on this. I know that there were many issues that you were trying to solve, and I really appreciate that. My comments are that the public received this Friday, and that gave us the weekend to review 252 pages. I wasn't available this weekend, so I wasn't able to look at the 252 pages. And this presentation is extremely general, so I'm not getting a feel for what the actual changes are. And often the devil is in the details, and I'm concerned that we're missing important facts here. Some of the things that I'd like to know are there any changes with buffer requirements, landscaping, parking, such things like that? Those are important things that can make or break an area, and I'd like to know more specifics on what the changes are.
Thank you for that comment. I understand that this is very general because there are a lot of different elements to go through. So it's hard to present this, to present everything, but I will try to address those concerns. In terms of the landscaping, there are actually additional landscaping standards in some of the districts that are in that core Willow Grove area where there might be more development. You're not going to be requiring like residential, single-family homeowners to do additional landscaping. But if there is a business that's going in a town center district, they would be required to add some landscaping for their new building. However, the majority of the landscaping requirements are actually not in the zoning, they're in the subdivision and land development ordinance, which that's where the street tree requirements are and replacement tree requirements are. That's all in the other ordinance that we didn't touch as part of this update. So those will not be changing.
Right, so there are some, and what I'm referring to are requirements such as, we require a 200-foot buffer professionally landscaped. And that is in this document, am I correct? In general, I mean, I can't point to a specific item because I haven't been able to look at it, but I remember seeing things like that. This between an industrial and a residential district. There's a buffer that's required that's X feet, and that buffer is required to have vegetation planted on it and use a professional landscaper, that sort of thing. So those are the kind of details that I'm referring to.
I can address that. We have not changed that. That is in the industrial district. It is a 200-foot green area, otherwise known as an open area, is required between any building and a residential district. The landscape requirement for buffering would be picked up in the subdivision and land development ordinance.
But no change to the dimensions of the buffers.
Okay, correct. It's 200 feet.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And what about reductions in parking requirements in some areas?
There are no reductions in the residential districts. There are there are new standards for shared parking provisions in the town center. So and that means that when there are businesses that share a parking lot, some places it might be parked out during the daytime, but it might lose some or have more parking spaces available in the evening. So there is a calculation table that's provided as part of the ordinance update that would have the calculation for the parking requirements when there is shared parking provisions, and that would be in the town center district. So yes, that would be a slight reduction in parking, but I think I did a presentation on this for one of the CDC updates. So the idea behind the parking reductions is not to make everyone's life harder, because I understand that there are challenges with parking. However, when a business comes in or a development comes in that has residential units, they will typically know how many parking spaces they need. Sometimes parking requirements can be overly burdensome and make a development more prohibitive. So the parking reduction is really meant to be more aligned with the market and let the developer decide how much they need. They don't want to overpark their place because it would be too expensive for them. So that's typically the approach that we're beginning to take more than to require too much parking for places. I hope that addresses your question.
Anyone else?
Pardon me? Oh, name and address. Susan, first name, Worth, W-O-R-T-H hyphen L-A, capital M-A-N-N-A, Worth, Lamanna, 1810 Cathedral Road, Huntington Valley, 19006. We good? Thank you. I was wondering, not so much to hear from Claire, but to hear from you all about how you see something that we could listening to Ms. Richmond, actually imagine, I'm thinking of Davisville Road. There are historical pieces on Davisville Road as you come from York down to Turwood. And that has become additionally built up over the years. Obviously, we have our fire department, et cetera, on that road, and many other things. But we do have homes there. And I'm wondering how you imagine that this change, since there's a CC, do I have that right, Claire? That will now, a core, now be covering that area. What would that bring to it? What would that look like? What else could be built on that? Could you speak to that? I don't think Claire can. I'd like to hear about the changes to our community.
Yeah, I mean,
that you
I
see
think
that are
Claire can
possible
speak.
based upon this map change, this zoning changes that will happen.
So I think Claire can speak to it better than I can, but it is a transition area from our town center. I think we want it to be more mixed use. We want it to have businesses come in and want to be there in a revitalized area for our downtown. I don't think the uses have not changed in that area. It's still, at least not much. It's still
But what would that new
smaller
designation-
office. What's that?
What would that designation, that new zoning designation, why, now that we have it, what would come in that isn't there now? Or could not come in based upon what we have?
Well,
as I
we've
stand here?
actually reduced the height of what could go there now. That's one of the things. I think commercial corridor used to allow 6-story. It's now down to 4.
So a 4-story, anything goes? I mean, we
Claire?
have the train, we're somewhat confined in that area because we have train tracks right there.
Yeah, I
Have
wouldn't say
safety
anything
around.
goes. I mean, there won't be, it has to be mixed use. There's not going to be big apartment buildings. Am I right, Claire? Is that?
Coming down from the one on the corner, there will be no more of that then?
It would anything new would have to be mixed use. On the first floor, I believe it would have to be commercial, office, industrial, office or retail.
Are you referring to the Willow Grove, the station at Willow Grove development?
When I mentioned that, yes,
Okay.
I was, but I'm also talking about what's coming down that way towards Turwood Road,
Okay.
where we definitely have houses on one side, which is Ward 1.
And it's more industrial on the other side?
Correct.
Yeah.
But we do have 2 historical homes in that.
Yes, I am aware that there are some historic homes. Some of the incentives for the historic preservation are actually a reduction in parking requirements if they preserve the homes. So that would be an incentive to preserve those houses. I didn't include something that specifically addresses those houses, but we did do a couple of design tests to show what kind of building could be developed under this new zoning in those areas. And you're right, there are a lot of constraints because of the train tracks. So if the concern is the size and the bulk of the building, really not a large building is going to be possible there, not only because of the restrictions in the height and the uses, but also because of how much you can fit on a parcel there, and how much the parking also is a little bit of a restraint, or it acts as a little bit of a restraint to the kind of development that would happen. But as Commissioner was saying, the point of that district is really to provide any use that would come in would be supporting the residences that live there and vice versa. So the residential units that are, the neighborhoods that are nearby, any new development that would be coming in would be supporting the businesses, and the businesses would also be supportive of the neighborhoods. It would, we're envisioning like small scale retail and stuff like that. So nothing that would be too much of a nuisance for a neighborhood. That's what we were envisioning when we created that district. Actually, the district is still there.
Are you envisioning increasing the walkability? Because that was one thing we talked about in, transportation-oriented development and walking, and it hasn't happened. Is this going to change anything that's going to make that happen? Or is it going to, you heard me like earlier, you had the room, just speed things up and people going by, because houses stop people and make them slow down. If you're not going to that building to buy that thing in that building, you are going to buy it faster than you would normally, because you're just going by it. It doesn't matter. So, we need the variance in our development. And if everything looks like a speed buy, then what I had complained about earlier is just going to be worse, not better. And you know that.
Well, I just wanted to correct myself a little bit. The commercial core is a district now, so it does exist. We would just be expanding a little bit.
Down Davisville.
Yes, correct, yes. Yeah, so where it would be is different, but it is currently a district. And yes, you're absolutely right about the walkability of the area and wanting to increase people on the street and promote transit use, all of that good stuff. So we did include standards that would hopefully improve the streetscape and make it a little bit more friendly for people who are walking there. There would be requirements for, just for example, since I don't have it right in front of me, for building entrances to open onto the sidewalk. And so you would have a little bit more activity, some landscaping requirements as well. So creating an attractive and safe place for people to be up and down Davisville Road, and hopefully connecting into that core and to the train station as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you explain the changes to the riparian conservation district?
Yes, it's a new district. It was based on the recommendations from the comprehensive plan to protect. Excuse me, thank you. The riparian corridor is the area that is along a stream or waterway. The riparian corridor district is new, and that is based on the comprehensive plan's recommendation to add a corridor, conservation corridor. There are the point of that overlay is to protect the waterways, so it would require vegetation along the creeks and streams. It has certain requirements for the types of plantings that would be required along those areas, but there is some variation depending on the size of the lot. Understanding that Upper Moreland has a variety of different lot sizes, and some places that are smaller, it might not be able to build out that riparian area as much as possible. It would not impact people that live on a creek currently. They wouldn't have to automatically go in and plant all this new stuff. But if there is ever a land development, they would be required to include that kind of protected landscaping and plantings that support a healthy ecological environment for the waterways and the creatures that live there. Okay.
All right. My next question is, I am very much in favor of revitalizing the core of our district. No one can deny that it needs some help. That comes with some concerns about the new residents that will be coming into the area. This will definitely lead to more residents because there will be apartments allowed in certain parts. Has there been any evaluation of the potential number of residents that could be coming into the town based on the area where they will be allowed and the size of the buildings that will be allowed?
So the amount of residential that would be allowed in the town center district is going to be reduced from what it currently is because of that height cap. They no longer have a density bonus option, so the maximum height of a residential building would be, or any building would be 45 feet. And so there, yes, that would be going down. There would be more opportunities for residential development along the commercial corridor. There are, you would be permitted to develop apartment buildings or small scale apartment buildings up the commercial corridors, or mixed use buildings that would have some residential in them. However, they are permitted to only be 35 feet in height, so they wouldn't be any of those very large apartment buildings that there was some concern about in the township. And they wouldn't be bringing a huge inundation of new residences all at once. So I feel that with any changes in the residential makeup of the township, it would be very incremental because of the size of the developments that would be permitted. Nothing really large all at the same time. There are a number of projects that are being, proposed right now in Willow Grove, and that's under the current zoning, so not under this new zoning district.
I can add to that. Yeah, just like that to that, just because the zoning in certain areas will permit multi-dwelling, it doesn't mean we're going to get 50-unit apartment buildings. What's going to cover it is lot size, impervious surface coverage, building coverage, parking. All those have to be taken into account for any development for multifamily that comes in to the township. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody. We have approximately 30 apartment complexes in the township. 2 of them are downtown. The rest are spread throughout the township. So,
Thank you.
I understand there won't be any large apartment complexes, but 50 people here, 100 people there, another 25 over there. It will be incremental, perhaps, but it can still add up to quite a few people. So I want to know, commissioners, are you planning for these additional people in the services that are provided to the township?
So there are other limits too in that area, and Claire, please feel free to jump in, but the CMU corridor, it requires retail, commercial, or office on the ground floor. It also allows residential only in Class 1, which is a maximum of a 20,000 square foot lot. So that really limits to how much residential could be there. And there's other limits like that, but part of the comprehensive plan, it's to be a mixed-use area. It's something we want revitalized. We have, again, reduced what we currently had as far as what we can expect for apartments and density, but we still want it to be an area that, moves along with the times and is revitalized and becomes more pedestrian friendly and more a place where people want to be. And
Right, and I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
They said that. I'm not objecting to the revitalization efforts. I'm concerned about the town absorbing that and us being prepared and able to handle that.
And there are limits, yeah. As I said, there's other limits too on how much would be built. I think the thought is that it's going to be more of, like we said, first floor would be some kind of a business and maybe, a couple units, apartment units on top, that type of product.
Yes, that's correct. And the tests that we did do, the design tests that were meant to test how this ordinance would work out in real life with a few example properties, they only had 3 or 4 units maximum because, like you said, of all of the other constraints that are there.
Can I add something also? We have this discussion a lot, and how we're going to pay for this. Well, you have an empty lot, and then it becomes an apartment building, and it has tenants who pay rent, and taxes are collected. So taxes are going up in the township, but the more building we have, we're having $85 to $95 million worth of construction across the street. That's going to bring in a lot of tax money. And it's not just.
That's a good point. More use means more income to pay for services too.
We will, absolutely.
Right, as you said.
Absolutely.
Are there any other public comments? Are there any other commissioner comments? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Paul. We'll go back to the Community Development Committee.
Okay, so community development, A1, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 1754. But however, is there a motion to table the approval of ordinance number 1754 until October 7th?
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion is tabled until the next regular meeting. Thank you.
And then we have a list of upcoming zoning hearing board applications scheduled for September 12th, 2024. It's open to the public. It will be at 7:30 in the municipal building here. The three items is PH 2422. It's a petition of the Pennypack Ecological Restoration Trust for the properties located at 0 Edge Hill Road, Huntington Valley. They're seeking a variance from the township. Another petition is PH 24-2314, petition by the United Parcel Service located at 1001 South York Road, Hatboro, PA. They're seeking a variance from the township to have a staging area for their trucks. And then PH 24-242, it's a petition for the property located at 3110 Davisville Road. They're seeking a variance from the Upper Moreland Township. They're looking for construction and alterations within the 100-year floodplain. And that is it for community development.
Thank you, Demond. Finally, before we adjourn the meeting, are there any commissioner comments? Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.